Well, hello guys. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back. Today we have John Lennox, and like Joe Rogan and the Diary of a CEO podcast. A lot of these, spirituality, religious types of talks are getting very popular, and I'm all here for it. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. I'm sorry that I haven't posted in a few weeks. I had to get a tooth removed at the dentist. That was not fun, but without further ado, let's get right into it.
Is giving a rational account of what's going on that makes very big sense of the big picture.
What is going on in society? Because it does feel like more and more people have these sort of existential questions about meaning, and they might be turning to Christianity or Islam or other. But what is, from a 30,000-foot perspective, happening to us, which is making us ask some of these questions? And for, younger generations, it might be spirituality, however they define that. But there's certainly a macro picture here of something happening.
Oh, there is. I agree with you entirely. And I think it's because we've had pushed at us for too long a very reductionist view of the world. It's nothing but physics and chemistry. It's nothing but this or that. And people rightly feel it's too small a world to live in.
So yeah, I would argue the world is still pushing a lot of this reductionism, but they're framing it in a way of it's just subjectiveness or relativism. You're the arbiter of your own morality, things like that. But yes, a lot of people are shifting toward there being a source like God in Christianity, and I love it. I love it.
They're looking to break out of this. Isn't there a bigger picture that can make sense of my world and make sense of my life and giving some meaning? Because if you reduce everything, it ends up in a black hole of meaninglessness. And that's one of my top reasons for not being an atheist, because it destroys rationality almost by definition. Because it tells me that my brain, which does all the thinking, it's not my mind, it's connected, and those are two different things, and that's another big story. But this is the end product of a mindless, unguided process. And
Right. Just, I've talked on this a lot too, and you'll reach this point if you think about it deep enough. If everything is a byproduct, if reality is the way it is because of evolution, and there was just this big bang that happened without anybody banging it, then how can we trust our own mind? It's just an evolutionary standpoint, of just matter and motion. Why would you even trust it?
Fun with scientists, sometimes I ask them about the brain and how it arose, and they tell me something like that. And I said, and you trust it? Tell me, if the computer that you use every day,
mind you, I'm watching this live, real time. Didn't watch this.
If you knew it was the end product of a random process, would you trust it? Every single scientist, and some of them are very high-powered, that I've asked that question to have said, no, I would not. So I say, you've got a problem, haven't you? Your atheism goes too far. It undermines the very rationality we need to do science, let alone to believe in atheism. And that's why
the whole argument is kind of circular, because like he said, it's an amazing point. How can you even trust your own atheism if you can't trust your mind, which is a byproduct of randomness? Doesn't make sense. It collapses, it hits a wall.
My main beef with people like Richard Dawkins and the new atheists, but I see they're fading. They're fading. So here's the irony. Atheism, claiming rationality, destroys it. Whereas I believe the Christian faith also claims rationality in the sense that evidence-based, we shout about that a lot in science and medicine, and rightly so. What we trust in ought to be evidence-based. I claim exactly the same thing for Christianity. And that's why I'm a Christian, because I believe the evidence supports it. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
So I guess, how do I identify? Maybe as someone that's agnostic, like I don't really know.
Well, that's okay. But does that mean you're open to know? You'd
Yes.
like to know?
Yes.
Well, that's
I'm always
wonderful.
open.
That's wonderful to see.
Shout out to anybody that has, because let's be fair, life is hard. Life, it sucks. We lose people. We go to the doctor, we find out that, we're sick. Like, we see things happening to people that we don't know, like, babies dying, right? Like, shout out to anybody that never grew up in a church, never was surrounded by any idea of there being God or Christianity or anything to make sense of what we go through here in this world. But shout out to people who are still open-minded to that. I love talking to people like that. I even love talking to atheists, but it's people who are intellectually dishonest that I have a tough time like grasping that. I'll admit, like, it's annoying, but shout out to him for being open-minded to it. I love it.
That seems to me to be exactly the right attitude. Jesus actually challenged someone in his day and says, if anyone wants to do the will of God, he shall know of the teaching, whether I'm speaking from myself or whether it's from God. I notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't say, if anyone wants to know, he will know. If anyone wants to do, he will know. And the difference between the two, and I'd be interested in your response to it, is that being prepared to do something when you know it is more than just knowing it and possibly just leaving it on the table. In other words, Jesus is interested in people who are going to take the step of trust and following him. And that's the big deal.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to get into, I'm watching this real time. I haven't had the time to watch it, but I love it. I love how these conversations are becoming more popular. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you.